Hey YouTubers, been a while since I've done a video and I thought I would actually just do a vlog instead of something more topical because I've got a number of little things going on. So let's start with that. Um, First off, occasionally people comment on the row of guitars that you can see back there and they ask about them and they ask me to do a video about it. And I think I always say it's been too long since I've played. It would be an embarrassment. Uh, I'll say now that it's been too long since I've played. It would be an embarrassment. And even if I played a lot, it would probably still be an embarrassment. But what I am doing is I am playing again. I've been practicing a little bit. I've started developing the tiniest of calluses. And I've been playing through Amplitude on my iPad, which is kind of fun. So that with some backing tracks and sort of playing through some blues riffs and that sort of thing. I'm trying to get back into playing enough that I could show these guitars and talk about them a bit and still suck. But, you know, I won't totally suck, I'll just mostly suck. So that's one thing that's in the works. Secondly, I just bought a new camera. It's a digital camera. But it's the Sony RX100 Mark III. I read so many good things about this thing that I decided to go for it. I've been thinking about it for quite a while, but just couldn't pull the trigger. But I was at my local photo store the other day, my local camera store, that is, and was talking to them about the camera. And the owner said, "Hey, I have a used one." And so he made me a pretty good deal on this. It has a little additional grip. That doesn't really come with the camera, so this was an add-on. Apparently someone bought it, took it home, used it for a while, and decided they wanted the RX10, which is the kind of the bridge camera, the big SLR looking camera. So I got this for decent money and pretty happy with it thus far. It's definitely heavier. I had a Mark 1 that's sitting back there. I had a Mark 1 for the last little over 2 years. It's been a really great camera. I did a lot of my YouTube videos with it. This one's a little heavier, a little chunkier, but it adds a lot of functionality. It has this cool little actual viewfinder, electronic viewfinder. And this is the first camera, I believe, in this size that offers a basically a pop-up electronic viewfinder. That's pretty amazing. They also improved the maximum apertures. So as you zoom, the aperture doesn't shut down quite as much. This one's from 1.8 to 2.8 maximum aperture. As you zoom in a little bit, the maximum aperture goes down to 2.8. But 1.8 to 2.8 is a pretty good maximum aperture to have at any focal length. It lets you shoot a little more, shoot at higher, shoot at lower ISOs in lower light. To keep the noise down, and smaller sensors like in this one, it's good to shoot at the lowest ISO you can, even though this small sensor is bigger than pretty much any sensor in any other camera of this size. It's actually a really large sensor for such a small camera. Yada yada yada. Man, long sentences. So anyway, got this, been playing with it a bit. Staying with photography for a moment, I also got this. Why? I don't know. And this off of eBay. This is funny because I've always, I say this a lot, don't I? Like every toy I get, I've always wanted one. The people down the street from me when I was growing up, they had one of these. This was in the mid 70s. This is a Nikon FTN. It's a Nikon F with an FTN finder on it. They had one of these. They had a Hasselblad. They had BMW motorcycles. They had a great stereo. So I kind of seemingly grew up to become those folks from down the street. So now I've had a BMW motorcycle. I got a great stereo system. Now I have a Nikon FTN, and I have they had a Hasselblad too. So I have Hasselblads. So I've grown up to become my next door neighbors, and I have this old gear that they used to have when it was new. But anyway, I mostly bought this essentially as a collector because, to be honest with you, don't hate me, Nikon people, but Nikon does everything backwards. Focus is backwards, aperture is backwards, lens mounting, the bayonet is backwards in terms of the way things rotate. Of course, to Nikon people, that's the right way, and everybody else does it backwards. But I just was on eBay one day goofing around and saw that these can be had fairly reasonably. So, I was like, why not? And it makes for a great decoration. The meter on this actually works, believe it or not. This is a really old camera. I looked it up once. I think this one was made in 1969. So it's only 7 years younger than me. This one, so that was a Nikon F with an FTN finder on it. And this is a Nikon F2. This was the next model of the F. The F was so good. They continued making it for a few years while they were making the F2. But the F2, to me, is really the quintessential Nikon. It's all mechanical just like the F, but it's the last all mechanical camera. And it got a little more elegant. The edges are rounded a little bit. The finder's not as massive. It goes up to a 2,000th of a second. And it's just, to me, it's a really great looking camera. It looks a little better with a lens on it. I'll switch it over. Of course, everybody has seen these things a million times. Let's see, can I do this without busting the linkage? So these cameras had a mechanical linkage between the lens and the meter so that the meter would know what f-stop you were at. So it's a little bit fiddly to get your lens mounted, and there's actually a technique where you move the aperture back and forth to make sure that it's caught the linkage. So anyway, here's the F2 with a lens on it. This is a 50mm F2, by the way. Man, these are just such awesome cameras. I'm going to shoot them. I'll shoot one or the other. Maybe I'll shoot both. No promises on when. You know how it is. I'm a little bit out of the photography game lately, but I thought I'd show you these and tell you that if you would like to have one of these to shoot, or just on your shelf, just as a piece of 35mm photographic history, these are pretty darn affordable on eBay right now. I think I paid $100 for this one with the lens. No, I paid $100 for the F2 without the lens, and then I got the FTN with the lens for $100. So I spent about $200 for everything I've been waving at the camera for the last couple of minutes. Okay, so moving on from that, I hope to do a video on these. I've studied up a bit on them. I can tell you more about them, but I really should put some film through them also before trying to do a review on them. What else? I'm going to reorder this stuff because I want to stay onto photography. I make a little list that's in Notepad on my screen that I'm reading while I'm talking to the camera. There's a possibility I'm going to have 6 photos hung at a local salon. The owner found my photos on Flickr and wrote me and asked, could I get large prints of these for my salon? And I said, well, yeah, let's talk about that. So I went to some trouble. He wanted large, very large prints. Well, they're not huge, but large enough. 16 by 24s from a 35mm frame. You need a pretty darn good scan to do that. So I actually offered to pay for the scans in order to keep this to be something he'd want to do. And I took it to a really high-end pro scanning company, had them scan at 8,000 DPI. So this is 150 megabyte TIFFs that came out of that scanning process, and that's of a 35mm frame, about that big. So he could do 16 by 24s, and then he liked a couple of my Hasselblad negatives as well, and I had those scanned. I don't remember what the resolution was, but scanned large enough to print at 16 by 16 at 360 DPI. So pretty big. Those are also 150 megabytes or so per TIFF. Communication hasn't been the best with this guy. I've done all this stuff. I've put the images up where he needs to get at them so he can have them printed, and I've heard zero from him. So I don't know if they're going to end up getting printed or what. Hopefully they will. If they won't, it won't be the worst thing in the world. I'm going to have a day job. So anyway, that is all I have to say in terms of catching up. Oh, no, I got one more thing. I reordered it. I do have a knife video to do. I just haven't gotten around to it. So those of you who like the knife stuff that I do, I'm going to have some pretty cool knives to show, and I'll get to that at some point. So thanks for watching thus far. I will catch you later.